started from your roommate, your classmate, your department secretary. Doesn't matter. You can speak English. They listen to you. What is your Taiwan? All right. Then you view our friendship. She's like one of our congressmen. We know each other for 30-some years. She do everything you tell him because he know you're honest. You don't lie to him. He'll tell you what is the fact is. So I want to ask you one question about. You said not many Taiwan experts. What do you think about Richard Bush?
I know Richard Bush really well. He cares a whole lot about Taiwan. And the thing about Richard Bush that's quite rare is that he actually does have the policy experience that a lot of people lack. He was AIT chairman. He worked on Taiwan policy. He actually, maybe some of you don't know, when he was a legislative aide, he was one of the people who helped push for democratization in Taiwan.
Yes, the congressman Solas.
Right.
Many years.
Right. And
How
so
about right now, the James Steinberg?
well, Steinberg, I
I
wouldn't call him a Taiwan hand per se. I think Bush is more of a Taiwan hand, but yeah, Bush. Of course, he has his own opinions, but but the thing about Bush is he makes a very concerted effort to listen to people from all sides. He hosts a lot of meetings with people from the KMT, from the DPP, American citizens, and he's a very good listener. So whenever I talk with him, I think he gives very careful, nuanced answers. And again, I'm not even agree with my best friend on every single issue, but I think he's very responsible and does care a lot about Taiwan's future. So I can't speak as well to Steinberg, though. I don't know him personally the way I know Richard Bush, but
over the time we were very hopeful, very hopeful. Some contact. But recently, kind of disappointed.
Yeah, so also, somehow you can work with some important people and they might make a big change in the U.S. policy that you don't know.
Yeah, I think, at the end of the day, U.S. officials are going to act in U.S. interest, but people like Bush, do have certain vested interests in helping due to personal connections, due to working for democracy and human rights. So, I think we can't expect every person to come around on every issue, but I think the most we can do is keep the chains of communication open, keep dialogue open, and
we haven't met him for a long time.
Yeah, no, I see him fairly often when I'm down in DC, and
how about James Steinberg?
I've seen him talk, but I don't have a personal relationship.
And Julia talked after this.
Yeah.
So Jenny, do you have any?
Yeah, so I just wanted to follow up on what everyone's been saying about doing something even though you're here. Like mentioned earlier, next Saturday, September 13th, is the Taiwan Free Rally from 1 to 4 in Times Square. Definitely be able to talk to Jenny and I. And it's things like that, it's creating the noise and bringing forth attention to citizens in America or even just people in general, tourists or whatnot. And I don't know did anyone go to the Taiwan Center or would listen to Lin Fei Fan talk or some Black movement people talk? So essentially what he said people in America can help no matter what it is. You learn about the issues that America has, because a lot of issues that America has, Taiwan has as well too. You bring it back. You join efforts such as Keep Taiwan Free Rally. And if you're interested in his direct answer, we actually have a clip of him talking about how you can help while you're in America. You should be able to Google something along the lines of Lin Fei Fan, Keep Taiwan Free, or just go on YouTube and search Outreach for Taiwan, and we have the link there as well too.
Yeah, also we have to send our special thanks to TANY, Oliver, the president, so he bring all this facility for us and also sponsor for the venue rentals and all the things. So, cultural event can also generate awareness of Taiwan by various ways. Sorry, there's a question over there.
Well, yes, I actually have a question for our speaker, which is in regard to Taiwan's history. It seems like the central issue is whether there's any legitimacy to the claim by the People's Republic of China that Taiwan would be returned to it as being maybe a successor like the Qing Empire that lost Taiwan. So it sort of brings to my mind the question of historical precedents descendants or any sort of parallels? In what cases has like an imperial territory been lost in the way that Taiwan was lost by the Japanese Empire at the end of World War II?
Yeah.
And were those territories, what happens to it? Do they become independent? Do they return to some like successor state?
Were you talking about specifically the Chinese context or in general?
In general, if there is any sort of historical parallel.
Well, I mean, if you look at the former Japanese colonies, they reverted to independence. I mean, Japan had colonies all over Asia. Japan occupied Hong Kong. It, attacked Indonesia, Malaysia. I mean, set up shop in Manchuria. And today we see Indonesia, Hong Kong, et cetera, are not ruled by Japan. They're independent countries. So, but I mean, part of the problem, I think, is also the way in which Westphalian democracy has been established over the years. I mean, the idea of modern nation states is fairly new. When you look at the history of Europe, of course, and you had all these fiefdoms and kingdoms and territories, and the boundaries have shifted dramatically over time. I mean, poor Poland. I mean, Poland saw its borders change so many times. So, I mean, I think that creates a lot of problems because, I mean, Tibet faces the same problem. People say, well, is Tibet independent? Well, I mean, we didn't have the concept of the modern nation state until fairly recently. Borders shift over time. I think from a historical and political perspective, sometimes it raises more questions than answers about how do you advocate for Tibet or Xinjiang, or Taiwan under international law when international laws have changed dramatically? How do you, where do you come down on South Ossetia? Where do you come down on Crimea? Does Russia have a right to push for a referendum in Korea? I mean, in Crimea, you still have the dispute between Russia and Japan of the South Islands. So, I mean, I think there are a lot of precedents, but clearly in some cases, things worked out, independence was achieved. In some cases, territory was absorbed. And in some cases, we still have a very ambiguous situation. So I think kind of the messiness of the last 300 or so years doesn't really help the situation in terms of how we define nation states, how we define statehood. But the problem is, of course, at the end of the day, some people don't really care what the heck the Montevideo Convention of 1933 says because, states are going to act in their own national interests. Leaders are going to do what suits their agenda. And so, I think that complicates the situation dramatically.
Sorry, we have to wrap up because we want to leave a little bit time for you guys to mingle and try to talk to each other. So, sorry, you say the talk, I promise you the talk won't be that serious, but end up this way, so I apologize here. So, but really, thank you, Julia, for sharing such a good...
People showed up at 10:30 at night.
Yeah, it's already very late.
I'm going to be impressed for the rest of my life by this. This is
also,
dedication.
Julia, I've been staying in Tibet and Uyghur for a long time, also in Taiwan, so definitely ask her about more, if you have more questions, if you don't mind, if you email to the audience, we can definitely keep in touch and keep contact with each other. So, those YPG, can you raise your hand again? People who attend, okay, a lot of people. Just, talk and mingle, and also maybe go to Liuwen or Xinhui if you really want to you are interested in joining our team as volunteers or do more for Taiwan. So, sorry, class dismissed. Oh.
Sir, one last question. Is it possible to get a copy of your presentation?
Yeah.
Because I think it has a lot
the points on U.S.-Taiwan relations were actually taken from an article I recently published with the national interest. It's online. If you go to Google and
So
type
we
in,
can share on the Facebook page.
Maybe,
as well.
yeah.
yeah. But if you type in national interest, Famularo, Taiwan, my articles will pop up. But in terms of some of the other stuff, yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how much you want me. I don't know if you want the historical stuff, but all the policy stuff is published online.
But the historical stuff would be very, useful as well. So
Oh,
kind of talk to people. It's
yeah, maybe I can like
summarized version.
put it in PDF form and post it on YPG or something.
Okay, so we'll definitely follow up with that.